Yes, good afternoon. Can you hear me? First,
Yes,
unmute
good
your
afternoon.
microphone. Okay.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Hope you've had a great day. It is lunchtime. Today, we are going to look at East African traditions in conflict resolution. Hope you can see what is on my screen. East African traditions in conflict resolution. So today we want to see, or we need to see, in East Africa or in the African setting, how do we resolve the conflicts? First of all, do you know a conflict? Highly, do you know a conflict? Can you define for us a conflict? Highly, define for us a conflict.
A conflict is when people get into a disagreement.
Aturinde, can you give us your opinion? What is a conflict?
Conflict is a situation where people are not, quarreling or maybe don't get along together.
So today we want to look at conflict resolution in African traditions. Conflict resolution. If Africans get conflicts, how do they resolve these conflicts? Okay, how do they resolve these conflicts? So we see that conflict resolution can be defined as a formal or informal process that two or more participants use to find a peaceful solution to their dispute. A formal or informal process where two or more parties are used to find a peaceful solution to their dispute. If you have a conflict, you need to resolve it. So conflict resolution, this is where you find you are solving that conflict. You want to settle it. So we need to see what were the methods of carrying out conflict resolution in the African traditional East African societies. And according to my screen, in the African traditional societies, they had mediation, they had adjudication, they had reconciliation, they had arbitration, and even negotiation. Before we look at them, each and every method, what is mediation? What is mediation? Laura, have you ever heard of that word, mediation? What do we mean by mediation? Yes, Laura? Patel, what is mediation? Patel.
The point.
Mediation is a structured process where an impartial party assists disputing parties.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So, when we look at mediation, it is a private process where a neutral third person called a mediator. Called a mediator. That person who is in between the two disputed parties, called a mediator, helps the parties discuss and try out to resolve the issue that they are having. Remember, we are looking at the East African traditions in conflict resolution, and we define the conflict resolution as a formal or informal process, a formal or informal process that two or more parties use to find a peaceful solution to their dispute or to their problem or to their conflict. And we said that in African setting, the methods of carrying out conflict resolution, they included mediation, adjudication, reconciliation, arbitration, and even negotiation. In case they had a conflict, they used those methods to solve their conflicts or to settle down their conflicts. And right now, we are looking at this conflict, which is called, this method, which is called mediation. And we are saying that this is where it is a private process. There must be a neutral person. What do we mean by that word neutral? What do we mean by that word neutral? Isaac, when you talk of neutral, what does it mean?
Sir, can you repeat the word?
Neutral, neutral. Neutral.
Maybe a person like
It
he's part of the two.
It is
Like an important person in both of their lives.
neutral.
it
simply
means
yes, tell us.
it means he's on both sides.
No. Appeal. Don't fear. If you want to learn, you must speak out what is in your mind. Speak out your mind. It is okay. Yes, appeal. What do we mean by neutral? Appeal. Esther. Okay. When you talk of that,
Excuse me, teacher. May you please repeat the word?
the word is neutral. 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 Laura is telling us on neither side. So somebody who is neutral, this is somebody who is not on any of the both sides. So if you want to solve a conflict, get somebody who is called a mediator. That person must be neutral. That person he or she is not on any of the other side. So that person can easily help. You explain your conflict to that person, then for him, he tries to give you a solution. So in other words, that person has mediated. So in the African traditional societies, they use the mediation as one of the methods of solving their conflicts. We have another method, adjudication. Adjudication. I remember when I was in primary, we could have the so-called speak day. you explore your talents, you shake your bones, what and what, such that you impress the judges. Then afterwards, they will announce that this house or this color has won. And those people, we normally call them adjudicators. They give marks. If you normally watch, there's a certain program which is on BBS, your research intone. Your research intone. There are those people. There is this man who became famous when he told one of the people who had come to kuyolesa their chitone to express their talent. He told them that they are smelling. Hope you remember. So those people are called adjudicators. So in the African traditional societies, one of the methods they used to sort of conflict or to resolve their conflicts, they used adjudication. And adjudication is a formal judgment on a disputed matter. Formal judgment on a disputed matter. By the way, what do we mean by formal?
Sorry?
What do we mean by formal? That word formal, what does it mean? Yes. Formal, in other words, it can mean something which is official. Official. In the African setting, they could call you, the whole village, you sit down, they bring those ones who have a conflict. They get the adjudicators, in other words, the judges. You say out your conflict, and then the judges, they make a judgment. So we normally call that adjudication. So another method which was used, or which is used in carrying out conflict resolution in traditional African societies, we have what we call reconciliation. And this is a situation in which two people or groups of people become friendly again after they have argued. Reconciliation. It is a situation in which two or more people or groups of people become friendly again after they have argued. And hope you can see the illustration which is on my screen. So that illustration, it is trying to show there are some people who are in the background, and these other ones, they are shaking hands, which means that they have reconciled. They are now friends again. To reconcile, it is to become friendly again after you have argued. So that is one of the other method which is used in African traditional societies in conflict resolution. We have arbitration. Hope you can see my screen. Can you see my screen? Yes. Okay. Arbitration. Arbitration, we are seeing that it is a private process where disputing parties. When I talk of disputing parties, I'm talking about those people who have conflicts, one or two people, two or more, because the conflict, it has to be between two or more people. So disputing parties agree that one or several individuals can make a decision about their conflict after receiving evidence and hearing the argument. Arbitration. If you have a conflict with somebody, if you have a conflict with somebody, you agree, let us let us explain our conflict to somebody such that he or she makes a decision for us. So we normally call that arbitration. So arbitration was one of the methods of carrying out conflict resolution in the traditional East African societies. We have another one, negotiation. Negotiation. Negotiation, it is a discussion aimed at reaching an agreement. For instance, you have stolen your neighbor's chicken. The neighbors caught you. You are running away. He has caught you. Where are you going? Why have you been stealing my chicken? And he's trying to shout to call other people. Tell this neighbor, you see, please don't call them. Let us agree. Okay? Let me pay you some money, or let me give you something such that you don't call others. Are you seeing how they are negotiating? They are solving the what? The conflict. So negotiation was one of the other methods for carrying out conflict resolution in the traditional East African societies. So if you have been following, hope at this moment, if you land on such a question whereby they're asking you methods of carrying out conflict resolution in traditional African societies, I think at this point you can easily explain these methods. Kaidi is telling us that a thief is just whistling his way out. Hey, sometimes you have to find ways of how you can save yourself from embarrassment. So in other words, if you want to save yourself from embarrassment, you have to negotiate. Some of you are in boarding schools, you find somebody in your suitcase is busy breaking it. You are in the corner watching that person is busy breaking your suitcase. Tell him, hello, is this suitcase yours? Some thieves, they are very wise, have been looking for change. They're looking for change in my suitcase. Let me call the others. So that person will start to negotiate with you such that he or she avoids the embarrassment. So negotiation, when there is a conflict, it is one of the methods for carrying out conflict resolution in traditional East African society. So we have mediation, we have adjudication, we have reconciliation, arbitration, and then negotiation. I don't know whether you have any question. Do you have any question before we go to the next discussion? Yes. Any question? Okay. Since you don't have any question, hope you can see what is on my screen. Want to look at the actually traditional approach to forgiveness and reconciliation. The actually traditional approach to forgiveness and reconciliation. We are saying that the traditional actually culture views justice. When you talk of justice, what is justice? You know, when we are discussing, I want us to grind each and every word such that we don't get lost. What do you mean by justice? What is justice? Isaac, can you tell us what is justice?
Excuse me, teacher, you are somehow breaking. May you repeat?
Okay, I was asking, what is justice?
Justice is, this is the way of serving the people the right things, the way of doing the right thing, maybe.
Okay, that is Isaac's opinion. Esther, tell us, what is justice according to you? Yes, Esther? Okay, without wasting time, justice, it is simply the fair treatment given to somebody. Fair treatment is justice. When you give fair treatment to somebody, that means that you are doing what we call justice. So here we are looking at the actually traditional approach to forgiveness and reconciliation. These so-called actualities, what is their approach to forgiveness and then reconciliation? Remember, each and every culture has its tradition. So we are seeing that the traditional actually culture views justice as means of restoring social relations. It views justice as means of restoring social relations. In other words, for them, if you give a fair treatment to somebody, you have restored. You have, in other words, it brings about forgiveness. It brings about reconciliation. In other words, justice in the traditional actually culture should be considered as a restorative. The actually people believe that the wounds of war will be healed if the actually practice, practice their traditional guiding principles. They have their principles. For instance, do not be a troublemaker. Okay? Do not be a troublemaker. You land on a question whereby they are asking you the guiding principles of the actually culture. We are looking at them. Remember, we are in the new curriculum, which is different from the old curriculum of our friends who are in senior 2 and above. So when we're having discussions here for you, you have the chance of this online platform. So we need to be so attentive. The guiding principles of the actually culture. Number 1, do not be a troublemaker. Number 2, respect. Respect. Sincerity. What does sincerity mean? Sincerity, it comes from the word sincere. What is to be sincere? Ladies and gentlemen, Patel, what is to be sincere?
To be honest.
That is Patel, to be honest. Appeal, there are some people who are very quiet. I'm telling you, this curriculum of yours, it is learner-centered, that business of keeping quiet, like as if we are in a church, whereby I'm the pastor, I'm the priest. For you are listening to the good news. No, you have to participate. Okay, appeal. What do you mean by being sincere? Hmm? Yes, Kylie, sincere?
Yes.
What do you mean by sincere? You people, remember your curriculum, it calls for ICT integration. There you would have been Googling. You would have been Googling. You get a dictionary just right next to you. You find out the words. So, sincere. We are saying that being free from pretense. Somebody who does not pretend, that person is sincere. Hey, Laura had given us an answer here. Thank you. Being free from pretense. If you are not pretending, that means that you are sincere. So, according to the actual culture and their tradition, for them, they move by that guideline, sincerity. Do not steal. Reconciliation and harmony. Forgiveness. Problem solving through discussion. If you have a problem with your neighbor, you must have a discussion. You sort it out. Children, women, and disabled are not to be harmed in war. So those are the seven. Those are the 7 guiding principles of the Acholi traditional culture, and we are looking at the Acholi traditional approach to forgiveness and reconciliation. Yes. Before we go any further, can you remind me, what do you mean by reconciliation? Kylie, that business of sending messages. We are in a lesson. Unmute your microphones, we talk. Reconciliation. What do you mean by that? Yes, reconciliation.
It means
Reconciliation means the restoration of friendly relations.
Okay. 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 As we are closing this chapter, I want us to put down this activity of integration. Hope you can see it on my screen. Can you see it on my screen?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is anyone there?
Yes, we are still on. You're still on. I thought that you're noting down.
I have noted down.
Okay. But still we shall share it in the group. I will share it in the group. Okay. Okay. I'm trying to share my screen. Trying to share my screen. So let us look at, we are going to look at the methods of solving conflicts today in East Africa. We are seeing that decisions of judicial courts, and their hierarchy right from the village level to the high courts are highly respected. So nowadays, if you have conflicts, how do we resolve them? If there is a conflict, we are seeing that in Uganda, depending on the seriousness of the conflict, where should somebody start from in Uganda? Patel, if you get a conflict, where do you start from?
LC1.
LC1, we have LC2, LC3. Then we go to the district magistrate courts, regional courts, and then high court. And if one is not satisfied, the case can go to the court of appeal if you're not satisfied. So in other words, if there is a conflict, we normally call them the chairpersons, the local village. You go there and report your conflict. If you are not satisfied, you proceed to LC2, LC3, district magistrate courts, and then up to the high court. But we are saying that if you're not satisfied with the court ruling, the high court ruling, there is what we call the court of appeal, Uganda appeal, that I was not satisfied with the ruling. I was not satisfied. So judgment is made by the magistrate or the judge after listening to both sides. We are looking at conflict resolution today in Uganda. At first, we have been looking at conflict resolution in East African societies. But right now, we want to see in Uganda, for instance, how do we solve conflicts according to what we have discussed. It depends on the seriousness of the conflict. It depends. Somebody cannot steal your pen. Then you take that case to the high court. Can you do that? You can't. That is not something big. Okay. So, the activities, I'll post them in the group. But last week, I left an activity. You did not submit. Patel, what happened? Why didn't you submit?
I submitted.
You submitted?
Yeah, under the site.
Okay. Okay. So I'll check.
Excuse me, I wasn't here last.
Yes, please.
I wasn't here last week. I just joined.
Hey. Okay.
So I also had a question.
Okay, you can ask.
Sir, can you also help us with the correction of that activity?
The
Correction of that activity.
I think we should first do it, then we get the correction.
very good.
Because otherwise we're just getting answers.
No, but no,
Did
haven't
you
you submitted it?
submit?
Yes. Yes.
Those ones that have submitted, we shall do the corrections. But if you have not yet submitted, you have to first submit. I mark you, then we do the corrections. I think that is the right procedures. Then for the new people,
Yes.
I'm going to send that assignment, the group, and even the previous discussions, such that you easily get on the track. Okay. So, hope you can see my screen very well. I want us to look at state formation. State formation in East Africa. State formation in East Africa. What do we mean by state formation? By state formation. Yes, Patel. What do we mean by state formation?
State formation is the process of the development of a centralized government structure.
Okay.
In a situation where one did not exist prior to its development.
Okay. Thank you very much. So we are seeing that pre-colonial societies existed. Pre-colonial societies existed in two forms: centralized and non-centralized. When we talk about centralized, that means that there were, for instance, kings, chiefs, whereas the non-centralized, which that means that they weren't organized in the other line of leadership. So when we talk about formation of pre-colonial societies, we are seeing that before the coming of the Europeans to our indigenous communities, we were organized according to family level, based on clan connections and tribal settings. Before these Europeans came, our organization was based on family level. It was based on family level. And we're seeing that this was due to blood kinship ties that existed from our ancestral lineage. Okay. However, we are seeing that as a result of migration and settlement, communities began to define boundaries in order to keep their resources. After, or as a result of migration and settlement, some families decided to create boundaries. They create boundaries such that they don't lose their resources for their own use, for the purposes of governance. And we're seeing that this took the form of societies defending their ancestral lands and cultural heritage. That's why we have what we call ancestral homes. Each and everybody, you have an ancestral home. Okay. So before these Europeans came, our organization was based on family level. But we are seeing that as a result of migration and settlement, some communities decided to create boundaries. They decided to create boundaries. Why were they creating boundaries? Because they wanted to keep their resources. They wanted to defend their ancestral lands. They wanted to defend their cultural heritage. We are seeing that with the rise of local politics, a number of communities began to define their leadership. A number of communities in East Africa, they began to define their leadership. And we are seeing that it is believed that many communities in East Africa copied the leadership style and method of governance from the Bachwezi. Did you watch that clip about the Bachwezi? Yes. Did you watch that?
No.
Clip? You didn't? Okay. Okay, let me find it. Let me find it such that we watch it and we see how did the Bachwezi, how did the Bachwezi trying to find it. Hope I can easily get it. Hope I can easily get it. But it seems it is not very near. Bachwezi. Okay. I can't find it at the moment. But we are saying that it is believed that many communities in East Africa copied that leadership style of governance from the Bachwezi, who are one of the earliest civilized societies in the Intercastrian region, the so-called Bachwezi. They were the earliest. That's why I normally say that they were even demigods. They could perform miracles. They could do so many things. And it is believed that they simply disappeared. They didn't die. They simply disappeared and went to heaven. So I request for today, we put down this activity. We put down this activity. Then please make sure that you submit this activity. They didn't come back. They didn't come back. Those ones who have just joined, I'm going to repost that video clip about the Bachwezi. We had that discussion, I think it was last week? I'm going to post it such that you see what happened. But still, I request we submit the other first assignment. Those ones who have never submitted. Somebody is saying that, this is Kairi. How did anyone know that the Bachwezi went to heaven? When we go back to the sources of history, we have oral tradition, we have archaeology, we have anthropology, we have written documents. So there are so many ways of how we get history. So history is got through those sources. So we get information from those sources. Okay, I request Isaac to give us a closing prayer. I'm going to forward the activity that we're going to do in the class group and even in the previous one. I request this time round, please submit in. Submit. Otherwise, we can't learn minus checking onto our mistakes. Isaac, give us a closing prayer. Isaac has gone. Okay, have a nice day and a nice evening.
Okay, so let me say a prayer.
Okay.
Okay, our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day and we thank you for our teacher. We thank you, brains. In Jesus' name I've prayed.
Amen. Okay. Thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you, teacher, for this lesson.
Okay.
Thank you for the lesson.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, good. Bye.
Bye. We have Liverpool vs Chelsea.